people often look at why their business isn't scaling and they'll look out to all of the things that are going out. It's the market, it's difficult clients, it's supply, and all of those things may be a contributing factor. They'll often come and say, look, we think the bottleneck is my sales manager or the product I'm selling or whatever. And when we pull it apart, we see that the bottleneck is often them. So if you're looking to change something, if you're looking to scale your business, you've got to start on the inside and work outwards in that ripple effect.
If you want more time, money, freedom, and have a business that's not reliant on you, then you're in the right place. Each week, Mark Creedon, along with some of the very best business minds in the world, will take you through simple, practical steps you can take to create the business you always wanted. From his own practical experience, Mark will show you how to work less, make more, and get the business you always wanted, the one that you deserve. Now here's your host, one of Australia's most sought-after business coaches, Mark Creedon.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Mastermind for Business podcast. This is the podcast for you if you are in business with your life partner, your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your father, your mother, your cousin, your best mate. If you are essentially a couple in business, then in about 15 minutes every week, Caroline and I are going to show you how you can navigate the dynamics that come from being in business with your significant other. And speaking of Caroline, Caroline, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to see you.
Yep.
Hey, we were talking the other day about the concept of how growth starts with you, right?
Yes.
In the business. And you sort of made the comment that, people often look at why their business isn't scaling and they'll look out to all of the things that are going out. It's the market, it's difficult clients, it's supply, and all of those things may be a contributing factor. But I think you made the point that really what it's about is it's actually about them.
Yeah, it is. Growth. There's in this scenario, I think there's the bottleneck in the business can actually be the owner of the business. It can be the director of the business purely for the fact that they're not looking at the inside of the circle. They're actually looking out externally everywhere else for the issue or the problem.
Yeah. So we often see when clients come to us, because clients come to us and say, listen, we're doing okay. And what we specialise in is helping them to scale by building the business, which is then less reliant on them. So they get more time for each other.
Yep.
Right? And they'll often come and say, look, we think the bottleneck is my sales manager or, the product I'm selling or whatever. And when we pull it apart, we see that the bottleneck is often them. And, the analogy I always use on that, Caroline, it's like dropping a stone into a pond, right? When you drop the stone into the pond, the ripples go outwards. They don't come out from the outside in. So if you're looking to change something, if you're looking to scale your business, you've got to start on the inside and work outwards in that ripple effect. And that starting inside is really with you. And you had a bit of an epiphany on that in some ways, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Because I was looking at thinking, okay, with scaling the business, to be able to scale the business, I need to be able to pull myself out of being the doer of the business.
Yep.
And look at how I can get the strength, build the strength from a leader point of view, but then also look at how I can ripple that out, like increase things on the outer sort of rims of the business. And I was sort of looking at thinking, okay, it's actually me that I need to work on. And for me, obviously there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm quite perfect, really. But I needed to look at upskilling.
I'm with you, 100%. Perfect. Perfection.
I love that. Good timing. I needed to look at being able to upskill myself, and not just from a professional point of view, but also from a mindset, self-belief point of view.
Yep.
So I was sort of looking for, I guess, a course, but then I was looking at so many different courses and I couldn't see, one that I thought, yeah, that's absolutely perfect.
Yep.
So sometimes it was just a matter of just choosing one and take as much as you can out of a course or a conference and things like that and build on it.
So for me, that's right. You got to start. You got to start somewhere. I always see this as a bit of a mindset shift, right? And so what we have is a mindset gap, essentially, where people are going, well, I want my business to scale and I want it to be less reliant on me. And once we've had this epiphany, this realization that if, there's the old saying, if it is to be, it is up to me. And so it is up to them to make that change. But you've got to shift that mindset. And that's when you start going out and looking, well, what are some things that I can do? What are some things I can learn? So I think it's very much about some self-awareness, then moving into the discipline, having that personal discipline to be able to go, do you know what, I want to go and do this. I was reading a book, Fight, Flight or Feel, by Tim Thomas, who's a former Australian commando. And he talks about this with physical well-being. And he says, look, 10 minutes of working on your body, 10 minutes of gym 3 times a week is better than an hour in the gym once every 3 months. So it's about that consistency. And I think once you've got some awareness, hey, I need to change, you go find some things that you can do, some courses you can do, some mastermind groups that you can join. Having the discipline to then stick with that for a period of time and on a consistent basis, I think is what's going to bring about that mindset shift.
Yeah, it's, you've got to minimise the mindset gap there, being self-aware, having personal discipline, and like you were saying, consistency, creating habits.
Yep.
And they don't always have to be in your office, in your business. Your personal habits should align with your business habits.
Right, 100%. So, I mean, that's one of the things when we run our couples in business workshops, they're the things we talk about, right? We run a personal alignment map where we work out, are you personally aligned? What do we need to do? So let's get everybody on the same page. And then we create what we call a shared vision map, which is about now we're aligned in the here and now, we're going to move forward in the vision. I think, Caroline, though, that, if you look at being a leader in your business, and guys, this relates whether you've got one person working for you, whether you've got no direct employees, but you outsource to people. In Mastermind, we always talk about the team being very broad, right? The definition of team includes everybody that you deal with, including your clients. But I think one of the things that you need to have certainty on is, what are the habits of the high growth leaders? So the leaders that we work with who are couples in business, what are the habits of the really successful ones? And I reckon there's 3 that we could probably pinpoint. And for me, it's around that they've got clarity. They're very clear on what it is that they're looking to achieve, which is why we do that vision mapping exercise. So they're very clear on where they want to be. They know where they are right now. They know where they want to be. They've got their goals really, really carefully clarified and aligned. So clarity. Because, it's really hard to expect your team to be clear if you're not.
Yep.
If you're giving murky mixed messages,
mixed goals.
Yeah, they're not going to know. So I think clarity is number one. I think the other thing is accountability. Like, buck stops with you. Right? It's one of the things that we say all the time. I mean, it might be that somebody else in the business makes a mistake or gets something wrong or doesn't deliver a service or a product to the client the way it should be. But at the end of the day, buck stops with you and me.
Yep.
Yeah. So accountability. And so we've got clarity, accountability. And I think the other thing is probably what you did, which is reflection.
Yeah, yep. I actually just want to touch base back on what you were talking about there. Yes, the buck stops with you, but if you get it right, you do the best you can with the delegation aspect, the outcome can be distributed to the person who's being delegated to.
Right, so that's the sign.
Responsibility there.
Yeah, 100%. So to me, that's the sign of a good coach, right? So if you take a football team, and I'm a bit of a tragic Broncos fan. Good this year, but the sign of a great coach, when the team wins, the team did it. When the team loses, the coach takes responsibility.
Yep.
Do you know? And I think that's how good leaders lead. They go, guys, we've had a win, and you did it. And you will have heard us saying this to our clients in intensives and things like that all the time. And if your team have had a great success, if your business has had a great success, sometimes people will come to us and go, oh, my business has just scaled and I'm not working as much as I was, and I just want to thank you for all the great work. And our answer always is, well, you did it.
Yeah. Yep.
You did it. I mean, we might have given you the tools, but you're the one that put them into place and used them and implemented all of the ideas that we've given you. So you guys did it. But similarly, if we have clients that come to us and go, do you know what, this just isn't working, we go, well, shit, what have we done wrong? How can we change the way we're coaching them in order to get those wins for them?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that you're 100% right. But concept of reflection, I think it's great to take time. We talk about taking time to look at the wins, but what about taking time to actually just reflect?
Yeah, I think reflection is a really powerful tool because, it's a way of testing and measuring I guess what you're getting out of your business, and it's not necessarily about the money that you're getting out of your business, but it's about what you're getting out of it personally from an emotional point of view, and your emotional intelligence that you have, not only for everybody else but for yourself, to be able to recognise, do you know what, I'm struggling and that's okay. What can I do?
Yep. So I was talking to a mastermind member the other day, and they were saying, look, where I was 12 months ago is that I'd work all day in the business. A couple, they'd work all day in the business. They'd come home, one would cook dinner or whatever, the other one would help the kids with the homework. They'd put the kids to bed, and then they'd pull out laptops and they'd work till midnight. And they actually had a team working for them. And in the conversation I had with them the other day, they were saying, well, what we realised is that we were taking responsibility for a whole bunch of things that we shouldn't be taking. So ultimate accountability rests with us. But once we started to empower our team around us, and people were going, yes, please, give me that responsibility. Let me show you what I can do. Let me step up.
Yeah.
So once they did that, once they changed, and they became aware of the fact that they were doing it all for their team. And the team were letting them, by the way.
Yeah.
But once they had that self-awareness and they flipped their discipline over and go, right, what I'm going to do now is empower my team, suddenly they were doing, in fact, they're actually making more money. So they've got more clients, they're doing more work, but less hours, and they're not doing those crazy things of working till midnight every night. Do you know what I mean? Like it all changed.
Yeah.
So there was that real shift.
It's a big shift, and it's hard to do, and it's hard to stay disciplined on that. And if you can give yourself the permission to be able to do that, give somebody else permission to sort of help keep you accountable and keep you on track with what you're wanting to achieve, share those goals.
Yeah.
That's really powerful. And when you've got, you're in business with somebody else, you share those messages, share those thoughts, and that way it's a lot easier for both of you and helps you stay on the same track as well.
And I think if I look at the conversation I had with these guys the other day, Caroline, I think the two things, if we could narrow it down, two things they did, I think they established KPIs.
Yeah.
And they built some delegation frameworks. So they had a good leadership group there. They had good people in their business who were kind of champing at the bit to take over responsibility, but these guys weren't letting go. So first of all, they learned how to delegate. And I reckon the big thing, you've probably heard me say this 1,000 times in these podcast episodes, but I think the big thing that really impacts delegation is to understand that when you delegate, you're not delegating the task, you're delegating responsibility for the task.
Yes, yep. I think we're talking about that in our next episode, actually.
Right, so you hand over the responsibility.
Yep.
So what they did is they set up some frameworks to make sure that people were being properly delegated. Mm-hmm. And that's right, in the next episode we're going to talk about the difference between delegation and abdication. So they were being properly delegated. But then the other thing too is they set up some KPIs. And guys, the thing about KPIs is, let's not get too caught up on it. You don't have to go into enormous detail. You don't have to read 1,000 books. I mean, if you want to cheat on it, you can go to ChatGPT. You can load in some details around your business and you can say, give me some broad brush KPIs, fine tune them from there. Please don't just rely on what ChatGPT does for you. But the point is that you can actually use AI a little bit to just give you a starting point. And sometimes a starting point is all you need.
Yep, it is. When you're in a roadblock or you've a bit of a bottleneck yourself, it's hard to see. Use AI, your ChatGPTs for that. But keep in mind always that ChatGPT and some of your AI tools, they don't have the emotion. Yep. So sometimes it can be easy just to throw something in ChatGPT and get it to give you a whole bunch of information. Go, yeah, cool, I'm on track here. But what it hasn't realised is the reason why I need to do this is because I'm feeling this. The reason that you can't see what I'm going through is because of these points. So it can be a big circle.
Yeah, it can. And I think the other thing that you've got to be careful of, like when you're setting up KPIs, is to actually ask the team. So, one of the things we always do is say to somebody, if we're working with them and we're helping them set up KPIs in their team, and we go, right, let's get the team on board in this. Let's ask the team first of all, how do they want their success to be measured?
Yeah.
What do they think is going to drive that? Because it gives you the opportunity to tap into where they believe their strengths are, where they believe their genius zone sits. And if you can create KPIs that are driven from them, now the onus is on them, because if they're not meeting them, for example, you go, well, hang on a second, you said that this was a KPI that you could meet. You said this is how you wanted your performance to be measured.
Yep.
So I think getting them involved in it is a really valuable tool as well. So I guess a couple of questions. We're talking about reflection, a couple of things to reflect on, right?
Yep.
And I reckon probably, the question would be, what part of your business is waiting for you to grow?
Yeah. You can't give your business the best opportunity unless you give yourself the best opportunity.
That's right. And then the whole concept here is moving kind of from operator to owner, right? So you move from just managing the business to leading the business. And again, I just want to reiterate that this doesn't matter. If you're listening to this now and you go, well, it's only me and my husband or me and my brother or whatever it might be. That's the same thing, right? Somebody's still got to lead the business.
Yep.
Right? And so you've got to move from just being an operator, getting into the day-to-day grind, and start having that bigger picture vision and thinking about what does this look like as an owner of the business. So I guess the second question really would be, where have you been managing in the business instead of leading in the business?
Yeah.
And once you move into that leadership thinking, this gets back to that mindset shift we were talking about, doesn't it really?
If we look at a question for the listeners, say back home, the question for the listeners here is maybe put the question to your partner, or certainly put the question to yourself.
Yep.
And ask yourself, what leadership habits have I created for myself, and which ones can I improve so that the business will scale, so the business can have the best opportunity?
Yep, 100%. And you know what? Once you've worked that out, we'd love to see what your answers are. So share, once you've answered that question, what are the leadership habits that you're looking to change? What are the realizations that you've had? Love to see you share that in the Mastermind Business Accelerator Facebook page. Cool.
Thanks, Mark.
Good stuff. This is fantastic. Guys, if you are listening to this on your favourite podcast suppliers, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it might be, please like, subscribe. If you know someone who's in business with a significant other, please share the podcast. And because if you think that they can benefit from the little bits and pieces of information that we provide, all designed to make being in business with your significant other so much easier than it might be right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like it, subscribe it, but put some details in the comments below. If there's something that you'd like to hear us, Caroline and I, speak about in terms of couples in business, drop it into the comments and we'd love to be able to address that for you in future episodes. Until next time, Caroline, thank you.
Yes, thank you.